Alright, coming at you with another Patreon request. This time it is from one of my star patrons, kpound69. So kpound, I know you had this in. I finally got to it for you. I'm going to include your message too, because the people want to know why we're doing this one today. Kpound writes, Octopath Traveler is a masterpiece, possibly the GOAT of RPGs. I am worried the sequel will not live up to the original. How is it? Well, K-Pound, you and everyone else are in luck, because today we're going to be checking out Octopath Traveler 2, and it's all thanks to you and my other supporters on Patreon. Alright, first thing we got to do here is definitely check out the box art. You can see we've got the name of the game all the way up here, Octopath Traveler 2. 2 is a little bit hidden there, kind of clearly showing that if you are a fan of Octopath Traveler, you're probably going to want to pick this up. And we got, looks like some people around a campfire. And you know what, those are going to be our main characters for this one. On the back, you can see we got our main characters a little bit more in view, so you can go ahead and embark on an adventure all your own and look at all those fun characters that you can play as. We're going to talk a little bit about some of them in depth, but a couple little scenes right there. Looks like we got the world. Looks like we've got everybody around the campfire, and that's kind of fun. It's got the exact same scene from the front as you can see it in the game, so that's pretty cool. And then I got a nice little battle scene here. Doesn't look like it's showing off one of the cool bosses, but it looks like we got some regular enemies. So that's what the box art has. Always cool to look at that. Because the art's going to be one of the main selling points of this game. Alright, now's the part that you really want to know about, and that's what about the stories for all of the different characters. I'm not going to get into some heavy spoilers, but I may talk about some of the things that happen in the game. So this is your warning. Click away if you're not sure that you want to hear some of the amazing things that are going to happen. K-Pound, I know you're going to want to listen to this, so even if some of the stuff is a little bit spoiled, just remember, Octopath Traveler isn't always about the story, it's about the world. So, the first character, and I'm going to go from everybody on the box, is going to be Hikari. I'm sorry, Hikari, because they have to pronounce his name correctly. Every single character. He's kind of cool. He comes from, not Japan, but a place called Ku. It's very Eastern in theming. And he was in line to take the throne, but he was the second son. So, instead, his half-brother is going to launch a coup against the current king, and that sets his story off in motion. During the initial chapter, you'll have to fight to find out whether he or his half-brother are going to take control of the kingdom. Alright, next character who's in the list is the dancer, Agnia. Her story is she wants to be a dancer. And that's about it. So that one was pretty exciting, but our next character is Particio. He's a merchant, and he wants to go around the world and be a merchant. His goal is to kill poverty. Like, literally kill poverty. Like, he thinks poverty is something that he can stop, and that's his goal, is to make sure nobody is ever in poverty. Next character on the list is Oswald. Now, his story is pretty unique because he's got a tale of revenge. Because somebody, his name's Harvey, I guess they tell you that pretty early, but Harvey killed his family and put him in prison. They framed him for him. So he's off to try and bust out of prison and get revenge on Harvey for sending him to prison and killing his family. Will he succeed? Well, it's up to you. Now the next character is the apothecary. Her name's Casti. Now her story is kind of tough to follow because she's got amnesia. And she's trying to recover from amnesia. It's a pretty unique story, but they do a really good take on it. And I highly recommend this one as one of your first ones to go through. Now the next character is Ochette, and she is the hunter in this story. Now, her main goal is to collect the 3 legendary Pokemon and then bring them back. So, she's going to go out and she's going to go all across the land, and she's got to find these 3 very specific beasts to come and capture and bring back to the island, so that those 3 beasts can help stop something called the Night of the Crimson Moon. It's a foretold calamity, and so she's got to go and find those beasts to stop it. However, she's not alone, and this is kind of weird. There's actually a hidden 9th character. I know, it's kind of strange, but she actually gets to take one of her beasts from the island, and that's like her avatar. That gets to follow her around on the map, so you'll actually get 9 instead of 8 characters. Now, you do get a choice. Personally, I chose the owl, because why would you not choose an owl? But you're free to choose the other one. I'm not going to spoil what happens with the other one. You'll have to play the game to find out. We're almost at the end. Next one up is Temenos. He's a cleric. His story was actually pretty cool. He's an inquisitor, so he's not your typical like good person cleric, but his main idea is he's not quite sure if the gods actually exist or not. So his role in the church is to doubt whether or not those who are true believers are actually believers. So he kind of plays the role of a detective. So his story starts out when the pontiff is murdered in the town that he's in. So he's got to try and solve this murder. Now this, again, brings him down and spirals down even further into different conspiracies, ultimately finding out, well, I'm not going to tell you yet. But his story will keep you on the edge of your seat as you go from murder to possibly another murder to possibly another murder to possibly another murder to possibly another murder, possibly another, and you guessed it, an 8th murder at Octopath Traveler 2. It's quite the ride. And the last character I did allude to earlier is the thief who's trying to get that jewelry off of her. Her name's Throne. So she's got this collar that's around her neck, and she's got to go ahead and get a couple keys from the leaders of her thieves guild to try and unlock that collar. That way she can earn her freedom. Now I know that's kind of a weird story that might be a little bit different from what you're used to, but just trust me, it's going to be interesting to see how she's able to get these keys to try and unlock the collar that's around her neck. Along the way, she's going to learn a lot of different stuff about her history and the history of her thieves guild entirely. It's a great choice. So that's all the characters, but you may be thinking, do those stories intersect? And the answer is, they do this time. So Octopath Traveler, the first one, I know you said it was a masterpiece because it combined all those different stories, and it was like you got 8 RPGs in one. But for this one, not only are the stories kind of separate, but there are also going to be some bonus stories that include more than one character. So you'll get a pair of characters teaming up to try and maybe solve a mystery. Maybe they're going to go solve another problem. Maybe they're going to listen to the people and answer what the people want. They're pretty interesting. Now, with these ones, everything's going to culminate. If you do get through everybody's individual stories, and you get through all of the stories that pair some of the characters up, there's actually another 9th story that involves all 8 of the characters. I know that was one of the things that the first one kind of lacked, was one overarching storyline, but that's here in this one. So all 8 of your characters will then have to go ahead and take all the pieces from their individual journeys to come together to piece what will happen in the final chapter. Quite interesting, and it's definitely a final boss that you'll want to play. So with all the cool story stuff out of the way, you might ask, how's the gameplay? Well, if you liked Octopath Traveler 1, you'll love Octopath Traveler 2, because it is exactly the same. You get that same burst of using all of those BP to launch a massive attack on an enemy. You get that same idea of trying to break the enemy in order to steal a couple of extra turns. And you get all the same skills from the first game. Now, they did include a couple really cool new skills for this one, but only a couple. Every character is going to get a couple unique skills. So unlike before, where each warrior was pretty much the same as another warrior, this time your characters have those personalized skills for their class. You do get to go ahead and subclass everybody again, just like the first game, and that's part of the fun, is mixing and matching to try and find all the different combinations that work for you and will work for each specific boss. Speaking of those bosses, they are in high supply. There are so many cool bosses, and they are so nice with the giant pixel art. They take up almost half the screen, so every single boss fight, no matter the stakes, feels like an event. While your 4 characters, or 3, or 2, or 1, or possibly all 8, try and take down that boss. It keeps you on the edge of your seat as the tension goes, as that giant, massive boss will just come at you with these beautiful animations. It's so fluid. I highly recommend picking this one up. There you have it, kpound. A full explanation of all of the excellent stuff you can see in Octopath Traveler 2 that I'm willing to share right now, because you know this world is full of secrets, secret areas, secret treasures, possibly some very interesting secret jobs that were not in the first one. With all of this, kpound, you've got to check it out. I would highly recommend purchasing this one.